So in divorce, we work with certified divorce financial analysts. And what they do is they help you divide up those assets. So you are not just looking at a snapshot of what it's going to be the day you get divorced, but how do those decisions affect your wealth health 30 years from now? So again, making sure that you have the right team, invest in the right team because it will save you dollars on the lawyer fees. Because so if you can be super educated and informed going into your legal negotiation, you'll be better off. So that idea around hopelessness or helplessness, you know what? You won't feel that way if you surround yourself with knowledge and information. The idea about feeling alone, well, a lot of those can be solved by failing hope and courage for yourself. Like, you're not going to feel alone if you believe in yourself, because once you believe in yourself and your capacity to be an individual in the next stage of your life and be able to support your children and it all comes back down to courage. I feel like,
Yes.
don't you feel like the power of closure is the power of courage?
Really, that's a very good point. Absolutely. And really looking at your own resilience. What have I gotten through in the past? How can I get through this? And really knowing, believing, and that's courage that you're a resilient person. I can do this. I can do this. I can make my life better. I can do it.
Yes, I can do it. I have mantras, at Better Than Bitter that I really push forward. It's the I can and I will.
Yes,
I can
exactly.
and I will. Because if you sit in this place as I can't, right? And then you don't have the capacity to move your life forward. If you consider it as I can't do this alone. Yes, you can. You can
Yes,
do this, right?
absolutely. And
Not only
totally.
can you, but you will. You
One
right?
thing I often hear is I can't until. Oh, I was like, okay, let's define that until. I can't until. What has to happen? And are you again giving your power up? I have to hear this, or I have to see that, or this has to happen. Your life is today. Make it happen now. It's not until somebody else is. Hearkening back to our earlier conversation, your life is now. It doesn't happen when somebody else gives you something. Take control. Take charge.
I love that. I can't until. And that is so interesting because, again, that's looking externally for somebody else to take an action that you do not control.
That's right.
And so you are then giving all of your power to somebody else over your emotions, over your ability to move yourself forward.
Absolutely. That says it perfectly. Absolutely right. Totally. That's right.
I love that. And one of the other things about that is that, when you blame people for how you feel, again, you give them all the power over your emotions.
Yes.
So and so is making me feel guilty. So and so said something to make me feel badly. So and so did something and it made me feel anxious. And they try to flip the switch on that and say, well, so and so might have done something specific. An event happened. They must have said something. But how are you thinking about that?
That's
Because
right.
it's the thoughts about that trigger that are making you feel guilty. You have a
Totally.
choice not to feel guilty, right?
Exactly. I think one of the jokes about therapists is people will say, how does that make you feel? And actually, therapists, we try not to ask that question because we're telling our clients other people make you feel a certain way. We want to empower our clients. You choose the way that you feel, your perception of the situation, the way you're looking at it, your worldview, that's causing the way you're feeling. Change the way you think, change the way you feel. Other people don't make you feel. You perceive and then you choose the perception, right? You have a choice here. We have a choice.